The overhanging edge of your roof takes an absolute beating. Between heavy snow loads, ice buildup, and intense winds, that small strip of exterior trim endures harsh environmental stress year after year. When it starts showing signs of wear, homeowners run into a confusing dilemma. You might call 3 contractors and get a $300 quote for a quick spot repair, right alongside a $10,000 quote for a total roofline replacement. That pricing gap exists because the scope of the work shifts based on how these components are actually functioning beneath the surface. The soffit and fascia form a functional bridge that connects your roofing, your attic ventilation, and your home's entire drainage system. This split-screen diagram shows exactly how those parts operate. The soffit is the material tucked underneath the roof overhang, designed to allow fresh air into your attic. The fascia is the vertical board running along the edge, creating a solid anchor point for your eavestroughs. Look at the healthy system on the left. The vented soffit pulls in a steady stream of air to keep the attic dry, while the solid fascia board supports the weight of the gutter, directing water safely away from the foundation. On the right side, the system has failed. Insulation has blocked the soffit vents, choking off the airflow. Moisture gets trapped, pests find their way into the gaps, and water pools against the fascia, eventually rotting the wood. What looks like minor cosmetic paint peeling is often the result of water creeping behind the aluminum capping during freeze-thaw cycles. Once that moisture enters, it expands as ice, pushing the panels further apart and inviting more water in. Skipping a diagnostic inspection and accepting the cheapest quote is risky. Choosing a surface-level patch for a structural issue allows moisture to remain trapped, leading to wood rot and failing gutters that often cost significantly more to remediate later. To avoid that risk, we have to look past the surface and evaluate the actual structural health of the wood and the airflow underneath. This flowchart maps out the diagnostic logic professionals use. We start by identifying the specific visible symptom and following it to the correct scope of work. The first pathway handles an isolated loose panel with dry wood, mapping directly to a spot repair. The second pathway addresses sagging eavestroughs or softwood. If the attachment point is compromised, a patch won't hold, requiring fascia replacement. The third pathway looks at systemic issues like heavy ice dams, indicating restricted airflow and requiring a ventilation overhaul. The most dangerous scenario for a homeowner is the cosmetic trap. This happens when a contractor offers to simply wrap new aluminum capping over old, soft, rotting fascia boards to hide the damage. When you wrap rotting wood in metal, you seal the moisture inside and accelerate the decay. By winter, the weak wood can no longer support the weight of heavy, ice-filled eavestroughs, causing them to rip away from the house. The physical symptoms of your roofline dictate the required depth of the work. Letting a strict budget dictate the scope often leads to a system collapse. Once you know the correct scope, you have to decide which material to install. Looking at this matrix, we evaluate the 3 primary options based on their cost per linear foot, their expected maintenance demands, and their ability to survive severe weather. Aluminum sits in the middle on price, generally costing between $20 and $30 per linear foot. It handles freeze-thaw cycles and requires very little maintenance. Vinyl is the budget-conscious option, coming in at $15 to $25 per foot. However, in sub-zero winter temperatures, it can become brittle and crack under impact or wind stress. Wood delivers a traditional aesthetic, but it demands regular repainting and sealing. Left exposed to standing water or deep snow, it will inevitably rot. Even with a durable material like aluminum, the installation method matters. Metal expands and contracts with temperature swings. If fastened too tightly, panels will buckle and warp across the roofline once summer heat hits. Selecting your material requires a trade-off. You can save money on the upfront installation, or you can pay more to reduce seasonal maintenance and repainting. For many homes, replacing the soffit and fascia happens alongside a larger exterior renovation, like updating the siding or installing new gutters. This cross-section illustrates the danger of prioritizing a sleek design over function. A common mistake is installing solid, unvented soffit panels everywhere for a smooth look, which chokes off the attic's air supply. Blocking that intake airflow causes the stagnant air inside your attic to bake. During the summer, that heat buildup can lower the lifespan of your shingles and drive up your indoor cooling costs. In the winter, that trapped warm air melts the snow on the roof. the water runs down to the freezing edge of the unvented overhang and freezes, forming ice dams that damage the gutters. Fully coordinating a new soffit and fascia replacement with a new eavestroughs installation is a significant investment, typically ranging between $6,000 and $15,000, depending on the home. This premium is justified because doing the work simultaneously prevents paying overlapping labor costs. Removing old gutters to fix the fascia, only to pay a crew to replace those exact same gutters a few years later, is an inefficient use of your budget. Executing the whole system at once creates an integrated exterior envelope where the drainage, ventilation, and siding transitions align precisely. Paying for system integration secures your home. It reduces the risk of future drainage failures and keeps your attic breathing as intended for decades. Let's apply this diagnostic logic and cost data to your roof to determine the project you need to plan for. We can break the decision down into 3 distinct homeowner profiles to help you match your budget to the structural requirements of your home. First is the reactive fixer. If your home has strictly isolated wind damage, like a single loose panel, and the wood underneath is dry, a localized spot repair between $250 and $900 is the correct path. The trade-off for preserving your immediate budget is accepting that the older surrounding panels may still fail during subsequent storms. Next is the value optimizer. If you have widespread peeling, sagging gutters, or pest entry points, you need a full aluminum replacement. This typically runs between $3,000 and $10,000 to solve the problem across the entire roofline. If you fall into this category, review your quotes carefully. You must ensure the contract explicitly includes the replacement of rotten wood, rather than just capping over bad fascia. Finally, we have the proactive renovator. This homeowner bundles their aging roofline, eavestroughs, and ventilation updates into one comprehensive project. The trade-off here is straightforward. You pay the premium today in exchange for a cohesive exterior envelope, where every component, ventilation, drainage, and trim, is installed to modern standards at once. Ensuring your roof edge is structurally sound means your home is equipped to route water away from the foundation, even during the heaviest storms. A successful roofline project means avoiding the cosmetic trap. It requires matching the scope of the work to the physical reality of your home, ensuring your exterior protects your investment for years to come.